Hi. We've talked a lot about the brown envelopes. Boy, we hate those things. The only time we like a brown envelope is when there's a check in it. And so you might find that you get a letter in the mail and it says, "We've issued a requirement to pay to your bank." Well, what that means is your bank account's already frozen, and any money that was in it is now put aside, and it will be sent to Canada Revenue Agency within a matter of days. So that is such a current and common practice, these requirements to pay against your banks, that many of the banks have a central office just dealing with requirements to pay to Canada Revenue Agency. Think about that. An entire department set up to handle requirements to pay. Gee, maybe they get more than 10 a year. I wonder how many requirements to pay are issued in Canada to justify major banks having entire departments set up to handle this. I don't know the number. I know it's more than two, a lot more than two. And here's how it works. First, they send the requirement to the bank. Then they wait a couple of days before they send the letter to you, thereby giving the bank time to get the money out of there and the account to be frozen before you find out what's coming down the pipe and grab the money and run. You never get the chance to grab and run. And sometimes these requirements to pay are for more than you owe. Not supposed to be, but sometimes it is. And so when you look at that and say, now your account's frozen, now your relationship with the bank is, let's say, bruised, and you have an issue of, there you are, minding your own business. You're in the shopping cart aisle, going up to the cashier. Your groceries are in the shopping cart, and you're looking at going home, cooking dinner, and feeding your family. You put your debit card in the machine, and it comes back declined. Bingo. Your account's been frozen, and you don't feed your kids. It escapes me how that's okay in Canada to deprive children of food. It escapes me why they don't say you have to leave a minimum amount, say $2,000 in the account, but you can have the rest. It doesn't work like that. They grab it all. They take your money and run. Then you have to fight with them over it. Sometimes they're in the wrong, sometimes they're in the right. You're always with a problem. Sometimes they garnish your wages. Sometimes they take 30% of it. Sometimes they take 100% of it. And if you can or can't feed your family, it's not relevant, because in their minds you're a dirty tax evading bastard, and you need to suffer for your dastardly deeds that you've done. And that's just how it works. Requirements to pay can be removed. Generally, it requires escalation to a team leader, to a manager, to explain how it doesn't make sense and how they've ignored common sense in dealing with the matter, and how if they don't remove it, it's not going to get paid. And sometimes it's a matter of saying, well, this was seized with an arbitrary assessment. Taxes were filed, they're just not processed yet. And sometimes we can get those requirements to pay off the same day. And sometimes we just can't. It depends on how miserable and nasty the person is that we're dealing with, and how miserable and nasty they are may be for a number of reasons, including that you have said things that didn't come true, that you would pay but you didn't. You said you'd file but you didn't. And there's a track record of you not keeping your word. Because when you say anything to CRA, they write it down. So don't say anything that isn't true. Don't promise anything that you can't promise. It doesn't matter that they want to hear a certain number, and you know that you can't pay that, but you have to say the number to get them to back off. Saying the wrong number will just bite you in the rear end. So only say what you can do. Don't promise that which you can't do. And don't think that avoiding them won't get you your account frozen. CRA's calling you, phoning you, writing to you. Never leave the brown envelope unopened. Because sometimes that brown envelope is actually good news. And sometimes that brown envelope is just the same nagging thing over and over again. And if you don't do something about it, ignoring it won't make it go away. And so avoid getting a requirement to pay against your bank account, because it's really unpleasant and obviously quite embarrassing when your card's declined and you can't buy your groceries and you have to explain to your kids why there's no dinner on the table tonight. So take care, run your business properly, make sure you've got good accounting, and if you're dealing with CRA, be proactive. Proactive's better. Thank you.